As promised, we have one of the newest members of the Boston Red Sox, Patrick Sandoval, joining the show today. Patrick, welcome. We're excited to have you on the Fenway Rundown, and I'm sure you're excited to be a member of the Red Sox as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So excited. Thanks for having me.
So the first thing I'll ask you is just, how are you in terms of the physical side of this? We all know you underwent Tommy John surgery last year. The deal you signed was, with 2026 in mind, but with the chance to compete in 2025. So the first thing, if you give us a rehab update, we'll ask the timetable question that no one wants to answer, but you definitely have one in mind. Where do things stand right now?
Yeah, progressing well. I just started throwing a few weeks ago at this point. And it's going well. Starting to feel more and more like an athlete every day. And that's kind of like the biggest grind of it at the beginning was, not being able to do much activity at all. And then, slowly ramping up. So now I'm in a good spot and I feel really good.
I think Craig Breslow told us their hope is that you are able to contribute at some point in the second half. Is there a goal in mind that you have?
Yeah, definitely just, to get back and be able to compete and help this team win games down the stretch. That's my goal for this year is to be able to, work my way back and be able to compete in these games.
And Patrick, just to clarify, you did indeed undergo the traditional Tommy John and not the internal brace procedure, correct?
No, I did have the internal brace.
Oh, you
Yes.
did. Okay. So that is a quicker timetable, at least somewhat,
Somewhat, yeah.
than the standard Tommy John procedure. Was it any sort of, I mean, look, you have a season-ending elbow injury and you're undergoing surgery. That's not fun. But was there a sense of relief when they told you that, they could repair the ligament with the brace rather than uh, the traditional Tommy John procedure?
Yeah, somewhat. I kind of wasn't as educated on the whole procedure going into it, but as they explained it to me, and yeah, it gave me, and as I talked to other guys around the league, it just gave me a little bit more, I don't know, security or reassurance, I guess, hearing from them about their experiences, and that really helped a lot.
What was it that when you were non-tendered and became a free agent, I know that there was interest from a number of teams. What attracted you to Boston? I know you have a little bit of a history with Andrew Bailey, the pitching coach here, but what was it that they presented and offered that made you think this would be a good fit?
I think more so the confidence they had in, myself and what I could bring and what they could bring to me. I think ultimately meshed together and, super grateful to be part of this, historic franchise and be able to play in Fenway. One of my, probably, if not my favorite, stadiums in all of baseball. The history, everything they presented to me. I won't really go into extreme detail, but everything that they kind of presented to me aligned with how I wanted to progress, and I thought this would be a huge stepping stone in my career.
They've also had some guys deal with Tommy John or elbow surgery and rehab them. James Paxton, another veteran lefty from with the roots on the West Coast, has been through that program. Was there anything about what they do as their rehab pitching program that attracted you? Anything that they sold you on from their past track record with others that helped convince you that this was the right place?
Yeah, just more so, like you said, the track record of being able to do this and have guys come back and compete and come back at a high level. I talked to other guys too, like Giolito is kind of in the middle of this process, and played with him the year before he got hurt, and so I have a pretty good relationship with him, and liked all the things that he had to say too. So just all of that combined, it was a pretty good choice for me.
Sean mentioned this a little bit, but Andrew Bailey was someone who was with the Angels. I think at the very beginning of your big league career. I think he was in camp as a player, maybe toward the end, and then ended up coaching, and then went on to the Giants, and then obviously here. What has your relationship, been like with him, and how much was he crucial to this process?
Yeah, I had, a brief stint with the Angels in 2019 when I first got called up, only probably 2 months, and, didn't really spend much time with the big league side that season in spring training. I wasn't there. I think I made like one appearance at the very end of spring training against the Dodgers. And when I did meet Bales and get to work with him, I really loved the fire and the just the fire he has for pitching and developing guys. And then I hadn't really talked to him much. Once he left, would see him when we play the Giants or whenever, we'd play against each other, and always say what's up to him. And then when we got on these Zoom calls and started talking, made me really like, I missed, working with that guy a lot, and I like what he brings to the table.
We've heard from, so many other pitchers, whether it be, Bueller earlier this offseason or some of the guys they signed last year about, him presenting these individualized plans and like, when he's recruiting a free agent, it's like he already has you in the organization. All right, this is how we're going to get you to be, even better. Was that a part of what you experienced with them?
Absolutely. I was just really impressed, with the, just off the top of the head for him, like him bringing up, certain things that he wanted me to work on and how we're going to, like, the biggest thing for me was the how, like how we're going to do this and why we're going to do this. And I think he, articulated that pretty clearly to me. So I'm just excited to get back to work with him.
What was the free agent process like for you? Obviously, you were not the traditional free agent that you entered in the fall like everybody else. I think some people were surprised to see you non-tendered. I don't know if you were in that camp, but just what was kind of that turnaround from the point where you get the call from the Angels, you hit the open market, and then get to kind of go through this process in a unique way?
Yeah. Honestly, insane. Wasn't expecting it at all. Got a call. I think it was like 2 minutes before the tender deadline, and my agent had let me know that they decided to non-tender me, and I didn't really know how to feel. Just I understood. The me coming back from injury, they might not want to pay me that money to just sit in rehab for a year, and whatever, and they they have that right to do that. But the whole free agent experience was, it's insane when you're not expecting. I'm thinking I still have 2 more years until I get that opportunity to choose which team I want to play for, and the whole recruiting process, or whatever you want to call it, it kind of brought me back to like the high school days of having colleges come and talk to you, and it was really cool. It was a really great experience, and it went pretty smoothly. I'm very grateful for that, and the team I have around me. So it was a good experience. It was fun.
Yeah, as Chris pointed out, Patrick, it wasn't the traditional free agency.
Mm-hmm.
In a perfect world, you're coming off a 16-win season and you've thrown 190 innings and you've got teams beating down the door to try to sign you. You are going into the process with everyone knowing that you're out a minimum of the first half of this year and maybe a little longer. Did that worry you? And what was that like from a confidence standpoint to have teams still lining up, even though, you're rehabbing and not ready to pitch?
Yeah, it wasn't as scary to me. I have a pretty good team around me to prepare me for what we were about to go through and what I was about to go through, and it gave me a lot of confidence in myself just even before meeting with teams, knowing that everything's gonna be all right. We're gonna find a team. We're gonna do what's best for me in my career, and to get me healthy ultimately, and then get me back on the mound and perform at a high level. And yeah, the amount of teams, that kind of were lining up to talk to me, it was a huge confidence boost, because going through this, getting let go obviously is not like the greatest feeling ever. And then knowing that I'm hurt, I'm still rehabbing, kind of going through that tough grind of just trying to get healthy, and the rehab grind. It really, brought my spirits up a little bit when, just hearing all the teams that wanted to come talk to me, and then talking to them, and then ultimately, choosing Boston was, I was on cloud nine still kind of coming down from it. It's, a huge blessing, and I couldn't be more grateful to the organization.
Were the Sox one of the teams that jumped in from the get-go? Was it clear that they were serious about this from the start?
Yeah, absolutely. And that was obviously, one of the main reasons too that
Right.
I was so high on them as well, is because I could feel that they were, very in on me as well, and it'd be a good relationship.
You're a Southern California guy, grew up Mission Viejo, pitched in Anaheim, the whole deal. How much of a culture change do you think it's going to be like going from Southern California to the East Coast and the Northeast? Weather, fans are different, history's longer, tradition. There are some pretty stark contrasts to what you're used to. What do you think that's going to be like?
I honestly have no idea. I'm excited to, experience it firsthand. Just even playing in Fenway against the Red Sox, throughout my careers. I think I'm pretty sure I made my first big league start in Fenway. And it's left that stadium and the fans, the culture around it has left a huge impression on me. I'm always excited to go back there and visit the city and obviously get into that stadium. It's, you can feel the history, you can feel the passion of all the fans. It's, I don't really know how to describe it. You got to experience it yourself to be able to fully realize like what it is.
It,
And I'm just excited to experience it as a Boston Red Sox.
is it a different feeling competing in the big leagues on the East Coast? We hear all the stereotypes about Southern California fans, arriving late, leaving early, maybe not that same kind of level of intensity. Do you feel that? Did you experience that difference when you'd play in New York and Boston or Philly versus what it was like in Anaheim or San Diego or LA?
No, I mean, yeah, absolutely. That's a real thing for sure. The East Coast fans and it's just different cultures out there, different types of people, and I would go as far to say, I mean, the fans, in New York and Philly, Boston, just there's just a different level of passion that they have for their teams, and it's amazing to see.
You talked about Giolito a little bit as a guy who was, with the Angels in that crazy year where he played for a bunch of teams. He's
Yeah.
obviously going through the same thing as a guy, he's an LA guy as well. I know you played with Duran on the WBC team, before his breakout last year and became an all-star and all that. Who else do you have familiarity with on the current roster? And are there any other kind of relationships like that?
Oh, not really. That's about it. Those two guys, and then Bales, obviously, and
Mm,
our bullpen coach Chris Holt. I worked with him in the minor leagues with the Astros. So those four guys right there, probably. I could be forgetting someone. I don't think I am, but those four guys for sure. I know that I've been around a little bit. Have more of a relationship, obviously, with probably Holty and Bales. I was around them a little longer. But yes, those. I'm coming into this pretty fresh. Don't really know many people.
I know Duran, wasn't where he is now when you played with him for Team Mexico, but were there any impressions of him that you got just from that experience?
Yeah, I mean, he came off the bench for us in Team Mexico, and the thing that I noticed right away when we had like two exhibition games against like I think it was the Guardians and I think the Rockies. They had him play like most of those games, and the biggest thing was just how hard he played. Like
Hmm.
it was all gas, like no breaks. He ran everything out so hard, and watching him play the outfield is really fun. He gets to every ball and he busts his ass. It's something you like to see as a pitcher.
As a member of the Angels, you've had the privilege of being teammates with two pretty, well, let's add three as I think of it. I was going to say Mike Trout, obviously, at Shohei Ohtani, but also Albert Pujols for a time there. Let's focus on Trout and Ohtani and start with Shohei. Uh, as a player, to watch what he was able to do both on the mound and at the plate, and being around him on a daily basis, I'm sure there's a greater appreciation as much as we watch and are, enthralled with what he's been able to do as a teammate and as someone playing the same game. I bet your level of appreciation is even that much greater. What was it like to be teammates with him for the number of years that you were?
Yeah, I've said this in a few interviews before. It's like as a teammate and player getting to watch him play, you almost get kind of numb to seeing what he does on the field. You see it so often, and it's just another day in Shohei land. He's out there dominating the competition. But the biggest thing for me, witnessing just how he went about his day to day stuff before games, getting his body ready, how consistent he was with everything that he did. That's something that really like left a lasting impression on me was his process and his recovery.
And how about playing alongside Mike Trout? At the beginning of your career, he was probably inarguably the best player in the game, do it
Mhm.
all, power, speed, defense, you name it, did everything. Last few years have been difficult for him with the injuries. What's it been like watching him maybe struggle to get healthy and get back to being that same player that you know him to be?
Yeah. Obviously, watching him, I'm from the area too, so kind of grew up and in high school and stuff, watching him play and just in awe of, he's the greatest player like our generation, basically. And, to see where he's at now, dealing with injury troubles. And I think that's something that like the younger guys that were on the team can really look to is like, this guy is dealing with so much stuff just every year, it seems like. And, he never wavers. He puts his head down and he gets to work, and he's not like, there's never a poor me situation. It's, he puts his head down, he gets to work every single day. He's there every day, and you can see him working. Like he sets a really good example for the people around him.
To wrap up on the Red Sox side, as you look towards spring training, what is your plan for getting down to Fort Myers, and just, what spring training is going to look like for you in terms of the rehab ramp up?
Mhm. Yeah, so I'm excited to be my first, big league. I did minor league spring training with the Astros
Mhm.
in West Palm and Kissimmee. So be my first big league spring training down in Florida. I'm pretty excited for the experience. Just kind of wrapping up like housing situation for spring training right now. It's kind of that time to, figure out where I'm going to live. If I'm going to do the hotel, it's still not sure on that yet, but should be heading out there pretty soon, a couple weeks, and excited to get down there and meet all the guys.
And to finish up for Red Sox fans that have seen you on the other side here and there, but not that much, not like you're in the division or anything on the other coast. Like, what are the Red Sox getting in Patrick Sandoval?
I can just say a big time competitor. I love to be on the field. I love to help my team win, and I'm gonna be just a fiery competitor. And there's never going to be like a question or doubt if I'm out there. I'm giving my 120% every time I go out there. I'm leaving it all out there every start, and I'm going to do whatever I can to help this team win.
See the oh, Sean, you got one more?
Yeah, just wondering, Patrick, how much you've talked about either with the medical and training staff or Andrew Bailey or the front office. Do you plan to be with the team once the season starts? Will you be left in extended spring to continue to work? Have you gotten so far as to map that out yet?
It's funny you ask. We're just now hammering out the details to that. So I don't have a definitive answer as of right now, but we are, in the process of kind of mapping out the rest of my rehab once, spring training starts, and then once the team breaks, we're gonna, see where we are. So still kind of in that, like, pretty much hammering it down right now.
Well, if you had any doubts about the Boston media, the big bad Boston media when you signed, hopefully the last 20 minutes have proven we're not that bad for when you get to Fort Myers and you're not, terrified of what's to come. But we really appreciate the time. We'll see you down there.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for having me. Nice meeting you guys.
Thanks, Patrick.